Well, hopefully it's going to mean better and cheaper broadband and easier access to it, because, you know, if we just take a step back and look at what Neotel was meant to be, it was meant to be competition for Telkom. It was meant to provide a second fixed line operator, the second national operator or second network operator. And it's consistently failed to do that, and not entirely from its own fault. I mean, its strategy was misaligned. The process was riddled with problems. It was wrapped up in legal disputes long before it was supposed to actually launch. It was delayed probably about 2 years because of these things. And the kind of crucial thing that it needed access to be able to be a fixed line competitor, it was never given, which is what's called local loop unbundling. The last mile is still called a mile, even though we use kilometers, is the access point between the exchange, the Telkom exchange, and the little copper cable that ends up in our house as a telephone. What's happened in the meantime is that wireless technology has completely taken off. Telkom has stymied any attempts to get access to the last mile, and as a result, Neotel chose a bunch of wireless technologies as a replacement, but they just haven't been able to crack into the market. What they have got is 15,000 kilometers of fiber, very useful in the new internet economy. I mean, we cannot compete unless we have fiber. Fiber to the home is the thing that everybody needs for internet access. And in terms of voice calls, you know, apart from the big corporate companies, most people use cell phones. So in the end, Neotel is kind of become a kind of half fixed line, half wireless. It uses WiMAX and WCDMA. WCDMA is 3G really, and it's kind of found itself not by its own design. I mean, there have been some strategic mistakes. The current CEO is a very smart, very clued up, very savvy man. I think he's done a lot of turnaround in terms of making them cash positive, which they've been for the last 2 years. But they've never really been able to compete against Telkom. And as such, I think from Vodacom, they're a really great buy. Not only do they have a bunch of customers and a bunch of 15,000 kilometers fiber, but they have this very crucial 800 megahertz spectrum. So spectrum is the new gold. You know, television, you hear this a lot spoken about, the digital dividend and the move to digital terrestrial television. All of that is to free up a band of spectrum that is used now for television broadcast, but that should actually be used for wireless. So they've got some very useful technology that will be very helpful to Vodacom with their LTE or 4G offerings.
I understood most of that, yes. As a Vodacom user and as a Neotel user, what would this mean for customers on either side? Is there any effect on them whatsoever? Would this have any impact for them?
Generally, such mergers and takeovers don't. You know, people just move in between quite quickly. But I think what's going to happen, I mean, internationally, there are two things we've got to discuss. The international trends, which are, you know, if you look at what's happened with Vodafone, which is Vodacom's still the largest company by revenue, not by customers, but what they've done is sold out of their American assets to focus on the European assets, and they've been buying fiber operators in Europe because they've realized that the new offering in the world is data. Data is, you know, Vodacom released its results yesterday as well, and was speaking about how its data usage is up. I think they said 80%. You know, 16 million more people use data in their SIM card than didn't before. There's a whole bunch of milestones that they say have been reached. Their numbers are up. So what Vodacom is going to do is offer this kind of converged or integrated service, which is just a fancy way of saying you buy everything from one supplier. You buy your broadband connection, you buy your cell phone connection, and you just have one bill. So I think that's what's going there. I'm personally very excited. I'm a Vodacom customer. I already have a very good cell phone package. What I desperately want is fiber to the home in Parkhurst, if anyone's listening. The other key issue that we have to look at is the cost.
Yes, that was my next question, is the cost for all involved.
Yeah. So there's about, from what I understand, Neotel has about 5 billion rands worth of debt. There's $500 million from Tata. It's very expensive debt. I mean, Vodacom could raise its own debt much cheaply. So they're just giving the money to Neotel to pay it off themselves, and they will have a pretty solid, well-run business.
Know more about your world.
enca.com